Hi folks, it's Tom at psychsafety.com here, and this is a video about job security and job precariousness. And this is kind of a response video, because I've seen increasingly a number of lists, these what is psychological safety not lists, what psychological safety isn't lists, and often on those lists comes job security, and I find that really interesting. Now, obviously, psychological safety is not the same as job security. Job security, providing a job for life, providing tenure, is not a magic wand to make people feel psychologically safe. However, job precariousness, the other end of that spectrum, certainly does tend to make people feel less psychologically safe, and our evidence shows this. In fact, I'm interested to see the evidence that suggests that psychological safety isn't anything to do with job security. I don't believe any evidence actually exists. Our experience through years of working with clients and our active research, shows that job security, job precariousness, and this may involve this spectrum of job precariousness and job insecurity may involve things like redundancies, past redundancies, potential future redundancies, organizations going through the process of redundancy, but it could also involve things like 0 hours contracts, living in states that at will employment, so you can be sacked or you can be let go for whatever reason at any time. It can be and it can involve other types of work, which are like gig economy kind of work. So anything where your job is less secure in whatever dimension that means. Our evidence shows that people who feel that their job is more precarious, more at risk, feel less psychologically safe. And this kind of makes sense. If this makes straightforward, logical sense. If you feel that someone somewhere is making a spreadsheet of who gets to stay and who goes, or whose roles are at risk, or who do we need to keep and who could we cope with leaving, if someone's making a spreadsheet, then or making a list, or if someone's going to ask our manager, if we feel that someone might ask our manager, we need to lose 2 people from your team, who do we let go, then our sensation, our belief might be that we need to avoid speaking up with mistakes, speaking up with bad news about a project being delayed or something like that, or raising a concern, giving the boss bad news that they don't want to hear, because that's likely to poke our head above the parapet and make us more vulnerable to the threat of job loss. And likewise, in the gig economy, we might want to not rock the boat or annoy someone, because we're less likely to get that next gig. And so job precariousness, job insecurity has a lot to do with psychological safety. My worry with these lists is that the term, phrasing psychological safety isn't job security is very close to psychological safety has nothing to do with job security, and that's patently not true. It's also worth noting, of course, that redundancies and job precariousness and things like that is a fact of life. We can't, unless we change the global economy, unless we change the way the system works, market forces, economies, budget cuts all mean that we may be at risk of losing our jobs, or we may lose our jobs. I've been made redundant twice in my career. We shouldn't demonize leaders of organizations for making hard decisions, but we must remember that it's important to acknowledge the effect that this precariousness has on psychological safety. It's the danger is that if we believe that psychological safety has nothing to do with job security, then we can shrug off any effect that redundancies or other risks or other precariousness has on psychological safety, and by doing so we end up putting the onus on individuals and dismissing what is actually a systemic problem and turning it into an individual problem, which is both unfair and not conducive to team performance. What's also worth noting here is that job precariousness and job insecurity affects folks who are from a lower socioeconomic background and have smaller or non-existent familial or financial safety nets, more than other folks. If our sheer existence and the well-being of our family exists, relies on us keeping this job, then we're going to feel much less. We're going to feel much more fearful about losing it. Whereas if we have a really strong financial safety net, and it doesn't really matter whether we lose it or not, then fine. We're probably going to still take those risks, and take the consequences. So we must acknowledge the risk that job precariousness and job insecurity does affect psychological safety. We can no longer brush this under the carpet and pretend that it's just an inconvenient truth. So I'm interested to hear what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts on job precariousness, job insecurity, and psychological safety, how it affected you, how it affected people around you, how you believe it affects people in the workplace. There's loads of research and more articles on this at psychsafety.com. So I'd love you to get involved, and I'll see you in the next video or in the community or the next meetup, and at psychsafety.com. So cheers folks, see you next time.